Welcome! Hopefully this time YouTube didn't mess up. Sounds like it didn't. Welcome! Welcome back! This time we are gonna continue with chapter 19. Shut up! Voice in my head. which is fitting kinda. So let's see, are people here? Are people actually here? Good question. It shows that you are here. Yep, and I'm pretty sure some of you are not yet here, but you're gonna power through everything. I guess we can continue, right? Oops, ow. That hurt. Let's see how my voice can hold up. Tyrion assessed the situation. His target, the Rose Girl, was still stunned, but starting to recover. Likewise the Schnee Brat and the Faunus, who thought RWBY was enough to hide her species. Donnie was still mostly out of it, but she was closer to the new arrivals than the Scorpion Faunus. Speaking of the new arrivals, Tyrion generally wasn't sure what to make of them. The humans were no threat whatsoever, he was absolutely certain of that. Only the one in the blue held himself like any kind of warrior, and he would be a lamb to be slaughtered. Lamb to the slaughter if he tried to face Tyrion directly. Talking about Riley. Their pets though, even before getting maimed by the tiny teleporting thing, he had seen enough to take Her Majesty's warning seriously. Why are you trying to fall off? There you go. Yes, they were threats. Worse, they were completely unpredictable threats. He had no standard of reference for these creatures. No way to discern their capabilities by looking at weaponry or how they moved like he would with huntsmen. On top of that, fucking ow! Losing an eye was not how we expected today to go. That's fine. Have a good meal. Alright, this was salvageable. He hadn't failed the contest yet. He had no set time frame to adhere to. He could fight his way clear, maybe kill a few targets of opportunity on the way out. Heal up, mostly, at least ow. And chose his moment more carefully before making a second attempt later. He hadn't failed. He was not a failure, right? Oh, but you have failed. A quiet voice in the back of his head whispered, but he told it to shut up. One chance, said the old man in the blood and venom stained lab coat, as he crossed his arms and his chest. Surrender now. Oh, but you promised another round and I was so looking forward to it, Tyrion mocked. He gestured his ruined eye. I even spot your handicap. The professor's expression didn't change in the slightest. Dragon Breath. The 7-foot scary plush toy standing next to him took a deep breath, and there was fire. Purple fire, which was probably somehow worse than regular fire. Tyrion decided he did not want to be on the purple fire today, so he rolled nimbly out of the attack. Because I guess why not? The attack is happening. So he rolled nimbly out of the attack's path, smoothly came to his feet, and charged the old man. He may have survived Tyrion's sting somehow, but he wasn't immune, and if the fat lizard stopped to try and help, that would give Tyrion the opportunity he needed to run, or kill them all. He would pay it by ear. It was less than a second before he was upon the geezer, blade swinging in a distracting pattern that disguised the true attack. His tail snapping forward, straight at Professor Oak's eye. Fair's fair, after all. Tyrion's tail moves much faster than an untrained knight could see. He would have the stinger buried in Oak's eye before the old man could blink, but a pale orange mass appeared in the limb's path, and the stinger stopped dead against iron hard claws. Fast. What the heck was that light? You probably saw that as well. That was a very bright flash. For some reason. Give me just a second. There is hopefully not thunder. Because there is no rain. Yeah, that's gonna happen. I can't do anything about it. You can be ready for more flashing lights later on. Hopefully not too much. There are construction workers outside and they are taking pictures with industrial cameras that have very big fat lights on them. Even though it's sunny outside. And obviously they had to put the lights to light in my window, literally. So where we were. Now I know it's nothing serious, nothing dangerous, so we can go further. Fast as Tyrion was, the knight was faster still, which is why Professor Oak didn't bother to blink. Tyrion stayed on the offensive, circling to put his target between him and the knight, and lashed out and again, and again. Blade, tail, kick, other blade, each and every attack was blocked with contemptuous ease by the dragon, even by his clawed arms, his wings, or his own tail, and the old man didn't even look at him. His expression didn't change under his severe mien. He almost looked bored. Oh. He's referencing Gara. Okay. That kind of expression, yeah. I see. I'm gonna keep that on the screen. That GIF, because that would be yeah, anime reference. While the scene was occupied, Takeshy nudged Gary, gestured toward Yang, who was still perilously close to Clash, and started whispering instructions to Meganium. Gary likewise muttered something to Alakazam, and the psychic type's eyes once again glowed blue. The aura of the same color appeared around the semi-conscious blonde, and she began to hover above the fountain and gently drift towards the gathered trainers. Once she arrived, Meganium prepared her pulse, and the restorative power washed over the soaked huntress. By the time the Floropod was satisfied with her patient's condition, Alakazam had already teleported across the square and returned with the rest of the team and their Pokemon. Whisper teary-eyed and clinging to Vice's shoulder, watched intently as Meganium shifted her attention to RWBY. The tiny fairy stopped sniffing as she watched the pastel beam refresh the dazed girl, finding something oddly familiar about the move. I can do that. I can help. She turned to the cut on Vice's arm and focused, and after a few false starts, the same pinkish yellow energy began to build up in her hands. The resting joy began to slowly close itself, leaving hazy skin behind. Her progress was slower and more shaky, but she finished healing Vice about the same time Meganium got plagued back on her feet. I don't think gods can learn healing pools, can she? I'm curious now. Let's see, moveset. What can you learn? no, it can learn here, Puss. Okay, my bad. I just had to check. And it's not even just an evolution, it's just a level up move. Which means this Ralts is already like level 33 from all the battles, from this battle only. Easier to type. Yeah, it's easier to type without food in your hands. There were a few quiet words of gratitude for their saviors, but for the most part of the thanks were put on hold as the group watched Oak and Dragon Knight's clash with Tyrion. Also, I miscalculated. Oak didn't bring Lance here, he just got his own Dragon Knight. Plus Oak still hadn't moved, casually ignoring Tyrion's increasingly frustrated attempts to kill him, dodging a swing of a massive dragonic paw with series of backflips that opened the distance. The furnace opened up with all 4 barrels, spraying bullets at the scientist. With an annoyed snort, the knight twisted slightly and spread his left wing to its full extension, the lightweight rounds falling to the ground harmlessly after striking the leathery shield. Actually, I figured Ralts would have a psychic and fairy type. Yes, there are fairy types in this, which has not been introduced until Gen 5, I think. Enough playing, Dragon Knight, Oak said, perfectly calm. Dragon Rush! The dragon grinned, and instantly excited from a standstill to holy crap as a blue corona formed around his bulky body. Tyrion barely managed to dive out of the way of the charge, but his tail was snatched by a meaty paw. He found himself dragged along the Pokemon's wake, bouncing off the stones roughly, as the blaze surrounding the Knight dissipated. The madman found himself being swung overhead and suddenly reintroduced to the ground at high speed. Refusing to stay down, the Furnace flexed his tail with a jerk, holding himself within arm's reach of the paw that held him. Blades clashed against scales, and Dragon Knight grunted as he lost his grip on the assassin's natural weapon. Freed, Tyrion bounced into the handstand and spun in place, an inverted pirouette that allowed him to kick the beast in the face, forcing him to take a ponderous step back. Springing to his feet, Tyrion decided to cut his losses and flee for now, without further attempts on the humans. He sprinted away from the dragon and those it was guarding, but faltered in his flight as doubt crept into his mind. Your queen has given you a task, yet you discard it so easily. Is it cowardice or treason that drives you? Pausing, casting a look back on his shoulder at the cluster of humans and Pokemon who were just starting to react to his attempt to flee. She will forgive you. She must. I can try again. Tyrion, I am so disappointed in you. No! Across the plaza, Ghastly grinned as the reddish-purple glow around his eyes grew brighter. Hey, I found the right button after all. Yeah. Geist Turtle lumbered forward, a grin on his beak. Don't herald the fun for yourself, old-timer. Balanced on his Calonian heavy shield, just over his shoulders, lifted away and exposed a pair of what looked like cannon barrels. Pull! Dragon Knight smirked indulgently back at Gray's Pokemon. Fine, it will make you feel better, I guess. I can let you pretend you beat him. The rebel dragon stretched his wings, concentrating his energy, and when he slammed his wings forward, the rush of wind turned in upon itself, sending a massive twister skidding across the square. Still shaking off the whispering voice of doubt in the back of his mind, Tyrion didn't realize the danger he was in until it was nearly upon him. He was snatched up in the spiraling winds, battered up by the draconic aura that fueled them, and after a few seconds found himself launched heavenward, neatly clearing the rooftops of local buildings as he arched toward the gathered trainers and Pokemon, and then blustered fired his water cannons. A burst-like spray of the fire hose caught the airborne Faunus right in the gut and propelled him further skywards. Doubled over to crush his belly, to interrupt like a stone. Then another blast bounced him back up. Temporary say I couldn't juggle him for at least 10 shots. Blastoise rumbled gratefully, looking like quite an eyebrow at the display. I could almost feel sorry for him. Satan didn't give a Jackal a sidelong glance. Says the Pokemon whose trainer didn't get poisoned by the guy. I did say almost. Guy shook his head at his starter showboating and nudged the Alakazam. The psychic touch sized the Waterlogged in a psychic grip and moved him away from Blastoise's line of fire. Enough is enough, Shellhead. Playing around with an opponent is dangerous as this one, no matter how battered he may be, is only giving him more chances to... And then from out of nowhere, a Griffin darted over the rooftops at top speed, snatched Giant's insensate body from Alakazam's control, and flew towards the southern coast as fast as its wings could take it. To do that. Pokemon raised a hand to the side of his head, mimicking that he was answering the phone. Hello? Oh, someone a mile away? You saw that coming too, huh? Yep. I mean, if Alakazam didn't take away Tyrian from the last attack, he might not have been saved. The knight sorted and leaped into the air. Oh no, you don't! He shouted his mighty wings flashing as he moved to pursue. But suddenly he stopped and twisted in midair, as human and Pokemon screams of fear sounded north. Even from the ground, the crowd below saw the worried look that appeared on the wearable dragon's face. Alakazam helpfully translated the knight's call down to them. That's a lot of monsters! Ruby's eyes widened as she shot a horrified look at her teammates. Wait, are they Grim helping him? Weiss was slowly shaking her head. It's more of a denial than disagreement. That's ridiculous. It's impossible. Deal with it now, I'll moan about it later, Yang slapped. People need help. She charged off towards the sounds of terror and charging Grim without another word, and after a second, her teammates and the other trainers followed, including Oak and Dragonite. Tracy paused for a second, stopping Saita from flitting off the matter. Hang on, do you think you can catch up to the thing that grabbed at the guy? Saita nodded vigorously, and launched himself to the south, trusting that his teammates, Meryl and Venonat, would be enough to keep their trainer safe. Casey overheard Tracy's question and reached for another Pokemon. Pidgeot, go help Saita. Be careful, that maniac might not be as out of it as he looked. With a flash of light, a massive bird of prey appeared and took off pursuit. Casey and Meganium turned towards the clash already beginning in the outskirts of Pallet Town and ran to help the fend off Grim. I guess I wouldn't accept Saita to catch up, but the Pidgeot can definitely catch up to just a Griff. Pidgeot caught up to Saita easy, the bird being much swifter in straight line flight than the bug. The Grim didn't have much of a lead on them anymore, and Pidgeot offered his insectoid ally plan. If I knock the ugly buzzard off the air, you can go after the bad guy? The Saita answering grin was even more predatory than usual. Gladly. Pidgeot gained altitude until he was well above the Griff's line of sight, and after a few seconds of concentration, a blade of compressed air sights near invisibly downwards. It was a perfect shot, and the monstrous creature let out a noise best described as both a pained roar and an indignant squawk. The Grim was forced below the tops of the trees it had been flying over, and immediately started to tumble in midair, and slammed through the branches and trunks until it finally came to rest at the foot of an ancient oak tree, smoking and fading to nothingness. Saita, being small and agile enough to fly through the dense forest without slowing, was on the scene before Griffon had even come to a halt. Seeing that the monster's talons were devoid of Faunus, the Mantis began to backtrack through the trail of destruction to find some sign of his target. To nowhere. There was no Tyrian to be found on the first floor, nor in the canopy. There were no footprints to be found, Yeah, it was a distraction. They already dropped him down. No scraps so close, no bloodstains, or even a sand trail. Frowning darkly, Saita rose back above the treetops and joined Pidgeot in the tree branch. No sign of him. Maybe the Grim ate him? We should be so lucky. Might have ditched him before we caught up, yes. That's what happened. It was close enough to the canopy. I could have missed the top. Pidgeot nodded. Considering, I will go high and scan the area. You bite at the flight pass? Alright. Look for the Grim leaving the area too, in case he's got a new ride. The pair separated, and Saita darted through the woods as she hoped against hope to find something. That's other sentence I never saw before. Hopes against hope. But I guess that makes sense. Halfway back to town, his wish came true, but not in the way he had hoped. Broken branches disturbed us, a spatter of blood, a clear print in the mud puddles shaped vaguely like an oversized scorpion tail, and a massive, indulging drag mark, complete with bark scraped off the tree trunks along the trail. It reminded Saita of the trail left by Gyarados or Onix. It wasn't deep enough for the latter, and there wasn't enough collateral damage for the former. No, the only other serpentine creatures of such size that Saita knew of the Sand Snake Grim he had heard about in the aftermath of the assault on Golden Valley. Yeah, hope is faint. He followed the trail, but only a few dozen yards away, the drag marks disappeared into the river, with no corresponding marks on the far bank. Before heading off to inform Pidgeot and report back to the trainers, Saita took a few minutes to himself to exhaust his extensive supply of curses, expletives, and general profanity, which might not be too much. A mile downstream, then 2 miles east along the coast, the King Taiju surfaced, resting the blackhead's chin on the sand of the tiny beach. It opened its mouth and plunged the unconscious Tyrian out with his tongue before sliding off the path unknown. Mission Retrieval. I guess Grandal is here. Saita! Saita! That's what the people would have heard if they were there. Lying there on the sand, twitching feebly, Tyrian coughed and wheezed as mumbled himself in delirium. No, forgive me, goddess, I tried. The Bowatas trotted up to the furnace and lowered its head, digging its tusk into the sand and under him, lifting him off the ground. Sending orders. Cover Asset's escape. In event of failure, recover asset and return without further harm. Under impressive eyes of tremendous power, the pig lumbered off under the cover of the trees, carrying its imminent burden. Observation, a waste of time and resources. Ouch. Headmaster Erspin sat at his desk, coffee cup in his hand. He sat still, silent, staring at his guest who simply stared back. He took a sip, more to marshal his thoughts than out of thirst. Just like me. It didn't help. He took another sip. Actually, he felt hard to say something. Well done. How are you? Absol. I see. And you came from the other side of the portal. Absol. Absol. I don't know how an Absol sounds like. Literally. Can we check it up? I guess this is how an episode sounds like. We never heard it in the anime at all. That's the episode. I believe we are going to need an alternative method of communication. The third creature rolled her eyes. She had given John an indicated to harmless sweat on the flight back to Beacon, where he had referred to her as him, and lifted a paw over this Ospin's desk, moving one claw back and forth as drawing. Ospin immediately understood Upsol's intent and produced an ink vial from a drawer. It and the fountain pen it had accompanied had been quite the thoughtful gift a few years prior, though he had never had need to use it. Also sounds like video games with and blue. Sound familiar? Yes. There you go. Provided the ink and a few pieces of paper, Upsal dipped the claw into the bottle and carefully sketched a simple series of shapes onto the page, which I will open. Yeah, okay, we can open it. It's a Pokeball! That... I don't think they will understand that. Ospin started the circle and lines, but had to shake his head as he sat back. I'm afraid I don't recognize this symbol, unless any of you do. The rooms at occupants, consisting of Recovery Team and Professor Goodwitch, all took a look, but none of them had any answers. Upside dipped her claw in the ink again, and then drew a second shape, this one a little more complex than the first. Which it is denying to load up. Literally, that picture is not loading up. Yeah, that's unavailable. So we are not gonna see what the second shape is. I'm sorry, but that one holds no more meaning for me than the first one. Upsal sighed before trying a few crude shapes. They easily become recognizable as few stick figure humans, houses, a werewolf, and circular grid that was probably intended as the portal. Between the humans and the grid was another stick figure. This one on 4 legs with a sight on its head. A sight on its head. You were protecting go down from Grim incursion, coming through the portal and ended up eventually going through yourself. Upsal! It was good for you to have them. I assume that creatures of Grim are not native to where you come from. So, Upsal! I guess that's gonna be Upsal's voice, even if it's a she. A little this facility is a training academy for those who dedicate themselves to protecting people from the Grim. While we work to recover our wayward students who were stranded on the far sides of the portals, you are welcome to stay here until we can get you safely home. Is this accepted to you? Sir. Well, very well then. For as long as long or as short as your stay may be, welcome to Beacon. Oh, we have a lot of pictures here. Mew, help us! It just doesn't stand, does it? A massive brute of a man, stripped to the waist and so muscular when he shrugged his shoulder, other muscles had to get out of the way first. Set a few copper carriers loaded with coffee on the conference room table. The first Porter Monsters, then Scorpion Assassin, then Porter Monsters helping Scorpion Assassin. It's Bruno. This will load up because it's in the Wikipedia. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be Bruno. It's Bruno, but we don't talk about him, right? Team RWBY slumped exhausted in the seats around the table. gratefully reached for the drinks. A woman with a long light blue hair and a mid-hip barking tank top set a tray with creamer and sugar packets next to the drinks. You guys sure you are up for this debrief? And I would blame you for putting it off to decompress, or maybe get looked by a doctor. When I hear it, or you get fragged. Yeah, it's Karen. Karen is not nice in the games. She's almost more dangerous than Lance. Bruno, fighting type specialist of the Indigo Elite 4, gave his dark type counterpart a look. Karen, be nice. We are fine, RWBY said quickly, hoping to cut off a potential argument. Already healed us up. Thanks to Magnum and Whisper, we're just tired out, so we can handle talking. Speaking of medical help though, Blake began. Everybody's fine, Bruno asserted. Looks, boy! First aid got the poison out of the systems, and the doctors couldn't find any residues. All that needed doing was probably bandaging the puncture wounds, so they will be done and joining us soon. That old man Oak needed the help, Karen said with a grin. I heard he was a real beast in his prime, and I guess he still is after you scrape off the moss. Karen. She was spared the need to reply, while the door swinging open to admit fair-sized group, led by a man with elaborate pseudo-military uniform and cloak. We have all of them. Wait, Lance is... what is this picture of Lance? This is not how he should look like. Oh, this is from Let's Go Pikachu. I didn't play the Let's Go part. But he looks like a kid in that. He was accompanied by a guy in elaborate formal wear and domino mask. Is that how you call it? A domino mask? It's well. And dressed as a stereotypical ninja. Obviously. Koga. I mean, not really. His outfit is, yes, sure, we can call it the stereotypical ninja, but his hair wouldn't be open like that. They followed by RWBY's friends, who crowded in behind them. Those who were hurt in the attacks looked wary but alert. Casey in particular looked excited to be in the same room as the leaders of the league, much less sitting at the same table. Stable. We are not reading multiple this time. Sitting at the same table. Is Stentorian? What is Stentorian tone? If it's the stereotypical ninja, it might be Naruto. Nah. That's not a ninja outfit at all. Stentorian is extremely loud. Okay. I see. I have never heard that word before. In Stentorian tones, were the ancient general or modern motivational speaker, the cloakman spoke from the head of the table. I wish the circumstances of the meeting were more auspicious, but welcome to the Indigo Plateau. I am Lance, champion of the Indigo and Johto leagues, and these are Will and Koga, both of the Elite 4. Bruno and Gran, you have already met, of course. Hi, RWBY said with a tired smile. I'm RWBY. Oh. They forgot to continue. I'm RWBY, that's right, my partner Yang, and my sister, and Blake, her partner. And these are Nox, Whisper, and RWBY posed and glanced at the remaining two Pokemon. Hey Young, Blake, did you name Torchic and Ghastly yet? Working on it, Young grunted, and Blake nodded her agreement. Lance nodded politely. I'm pleased to meet you all. I feel like we should have had some kind of official event or otherwise commemorative this being the first real meeting between travelers from out of the world and government officials. But such as we are, here on Earth. But the fact is you are all tired and I'm no diplomat. So let's put that on hold and get some important matters. We have a lot of ground to cover. More so now that you have been targeted by some kind of assassin. Is that alright with the four of you? I guess it had to be. Let's just have some more cheerful music right now. Thankful notes about it. So Lance took a look at his notes and chose his first question. Well, I suppose the most immediate priority is the assassin and the attack that covered his escape. What can you tell about him? And the first thing you ask, we don't have proper answers to. Vice side. None of us have a clue who he is, other than the name he gave, and that could easily be a lie. Yeah, and how did he get here? RWBY wondered. I mean, through a wormhole, I guess, unless there's a super secret faunus population hiding somewhere. There was a momentary tangent as faunus were explained to the Elite Four, complete with Blake removing her bow gun. Graham would later furiously deny having made any noise, even slightly reminiscent of a squeak, no matter what everyone else in the room said. So the guy had to come through the portal daily, and instead of freaking out at being another world, he comes after us. And why was he so fixated on RWBY? Vice asked. I would consider her to be the least likely target for a faunus assassin or kidnapper out of the four of us. Why is that? He asked. Why would the rest of you be more likely? Well, Vice shot an uncomfortable glance at Blake, and the two locked eyes for a second. They came to a silent understanding of the need to be upfront about less pleasant parts of their personal histories. Widow is now freezing and jittery. I don't know. Hopefully it's just on your hand. I'm checking the stream health. It says stream health is excellent. Wait. It's jittering on my end as well. Why the hell is it doing that? I don't have any drop frames on my side. I don't know why it's doing that. But at least if the sound is fine, that should be fine as well. Hopefully. I mentioned back at the lab that my family's business makes use of some unsavory business tactics. I hate to admit it, but that includes taking advantage of social inequalities to maintain a pool of cheap labor, a practice I disapprove of course. Vice hunched inward a bit, staring into the depths of a coffee cup. My family has effectively been at war with the pro-faunus extremist group for years. There have been clashes. The right flank, Blake said quietly, her exposed ears lying flat. It was originally a peaceful protest group, one I joined as a little girl. It was all just rallies and waving signs back then, but a few years ago, there was a change of leadership, and then the new leader was too impatient to keep relying on civil disobedience, and started winning people over. A few protests turned violent, some even became riots, and it took me way too long to finally admit to myself that the cause I had dedicated my life to wasn't the cause I had dedicated my life to anymore. Why would it make you a target? Bruno asked. I may have come to that conclusion in the middle of the mission, when my mentor told me to start planting charges instead of stealing the cargo, and made it clear that he didn't care how many humans died in the blast. Whoa! Gary said. I didn't go through with it, Blake added hurriedly. I got the connection between the train cars and left him behind. I ended up deciding to become the huntress, so I could put my skills to use without worrying if I was doing the right thing. Gary reached over and gave Blake's hand a comforting squeeze. None of us thought you did, kiddo. Sounds like you chose the right time to get out. Is it still freezing for you, Quill? Or did it solve itself? The phoneless girl gave her a thankful smile in return. Kuga nodded slowly and spoke for the first time since entering the room. De facto, and the part of targeted family. I see why you consider yourself more likely targets. That you apparently weren't would suggest that the phoners or not, this assassin was not working on this White Fang's behalf. I think you are right. Phoners with anthropod features are rare, and so are warriors that scared. Blake mused. I don't think he was part of the Fang. I'm sure I would have heard of him, and besides that, he claimed to be working for a queen. Sienna Khan hasn't gone that far, so far as I know. Out of curiosity, why would Yang be more likely target than RWBY? Why? Bruno asked. I blew up a mob run nightclub this one time, the blonde answered nonchalantly. Seeing the looks she was getting, she hastened to defend herself. Hey, nobody got hurt, you know, other than the gangsters I beat up. Dodgy grinned but again. Best trainer ever! Back to the assassin, Lang said firmly, trying to keep the meeting focused. Focus! It's not focused, it's focus! I don't know why it is doing that. I'm gonna check the preview to see if anything is freezing. He's apparently still at large thanks to the intervention of the Grim after Professor Oak defeated him. And you can't comprehend how freaking weird that is to us, Yankee interrupted. Wise glared at her. Though she could have been more respectful about it, Yang is right. Grim simply do not cooperate with humans or fauners. What they did is unprecedented. Actually, it might be computer. It's still better if I can check it out on my side as well. It might be that you can you're not cannot handle the 6000 kilobyte per second that I have set my stream to. I can lower it later. This one is fine for gameplay. Might be bad for some computers. It cannot handle it. Because it should be just a thing that, okay, this is too much. I think Kanda was involved, RWBY volunteered. Attack on Planet Town was too well organized for him not to be. Organized? Tracy asked. It looked like a random mob to me. No, Ruby's right, Yang assured him. There were only a handful of Grimm. There were like 200, Gary protested. That's not a handful. It really is though, Ruby corrected. If it was a normal attack, there would have been way more, and I would have bunched up and charged as a mess. Instead, there were handfuls spread over a wide front, meaning it took longer to hunt them all down, which gave the Tyrian guy time to get away without greasing too many Grimm. And there is only one alpha around smart enough to do something like that, I hope. The screen darkened a bit. So it wasn't a problem recently, so yeah, it has to be on your side, sadly. Because if it was on my side, I could do something about it, but I cannot really do anything if it's on your side. It also makes the fact that Grimm helped Tyrian slightly less bizarre, Blake added. Only one Grimm had to decide not to kill him, instead of the whole horde. This right here? They said, gesturing at the sisters. This is exactly the sort of tactical advice we were hoping for. We had no idea the Planet Town raid was unusual. What about the Golden Valley? Was there anything odd about that attack, in your opinion? No, that was fairly standard, Bryce said. I assume Grander saw no particular need to be clever at that point. We will need to dig into that what considers a standard Grimm attack in more detail, both so we can prepare and so we can take note for further non-standard strikes. Line said. Also, we need to be briefed on the different varieties of Grimm, so to avoid unpleasant surprises. Surprising to everyone, the door suddenly slammed open with a loud bang. Standing in the frame was an elderly man with overly thick glasses and an impressively hooked nose, panting and ran for his face from extraction. There you are! Nancy immediately attempted to cover a grimace and mostly succeeded. The rest of the elite four not so much. Professor Cypress, glad you could join us. Please pull up. I knew this day would come. I knew that we would be facing a crisis of mortal proportions. None of you believe me, but I knew. Yes, Professor, you were right about the threat of outer wormholes. We were planning a response right now if you would come. And now monsters are attacking defenseless towns. And you didn't tell me about the meeting to plan the defense? I did send you an email. If you just listened to me, we would have prevented all of this. But no, don't listen to Cypress, he's crazy. It's only thanks to the series of smart miracles that nobody died yet. And the email said that the meeting wasn't until tonight. Professor Cypress, allow me to introduce those four young ladies. Oak managed to hurry out before the rant resumed. Eh, what? Cypress strode into this floor, turned and blinked owlishly at Team Ruby. Who? A series of smart miracles, that's who. These are the girls who came through the outer wormhole and led the defense on both Golden Valley and Planet Town. Oh wait, Planet Town was... Yes, just a few hours ago, which is why Lance led the Elite Four to our relief, and brought us here early for a debriefing and medical help, because as I and a few others were present, he was stabbed with poison. Oh, I see. Cypress shuffled in place uncomfortably for a few seconds, before easing himself into a chair. As you thought then... Wait, does that one have cat ears? Let's take 10 minute recess while I get the professor up to speed, shall we? Oak sighed, and Lance nodded gleefully. Seriously, Blake, don't sweat it. Nobody around here is going to hold against you. I am honestly kind of surprised, the Phonos admitted. I mean, I know that the Fight Fang don't have a reputation here to bias things, but I did just admit that I am a former criminal. A reformed criminal, Grant corrected. That is an important distinction. And besides, if we looked up a reformer member of the criminal organization, we would fill the prisoners 3 times over. Yeah, you don't know how many Team Rocket, Team Plasma, Team Magma, Team Ocean, Team that, Team this, Team Organized Crime organizations are there in Pokemon world. On Earth! Is it a statement on the number of prisoners here or on how many criminal groups there are? Probably both, if I'm honest. Seriously, this Fight Fang group at least started from good intent. That's way more than some of the terrorist groups that crept out of the woodwork in the last few years can stay. Blake raised an eyebrow, and Cam once again had to fight against the screen that threatened to break out as the younger girl's ears shifted with them. How do you mean? Like Team Rocket? Because bad poetry aside, they seemed kind of ineffectual. Well, yes and no, Grant said with a waggle of her hand. As weird as some of the agents are, and as worthless as trainers most of their entry-level guns tend to be, some of the higher echelon are genuinely their level. Few are rumored to be strong enough to fight back against us, but they are not who I meant. Grant settled back in a chair and reached for their own cup of coffee. See, the Rockets at least have straightforward and comprehensive motives, even if their methods are deplorable. They want money, power, and money, and they would do almost anything, but actually work in order to get it. You said money twice. They really like money. Especially because they don't get paid too much. What were the other groups after then? Well, in the honor region, they had Team Aqua and Team Magma, and beginners you have never seen in your life. One team wanted to partially dry up the sea and expand the land because something more room for people to live, and the other wanted to flood the sea and shrink the available land because something life came from the sea. So see more is see more good. Yeah, that's basically it. What? And they weren't eventually really bad ones. There were these guys in Sinnoh. The Plasma guys. Whisper? What's wrong? The little fairy sniffed while she sat on Rice's knee. I messed up. What do you mean? I got you and Ruby hurt. No, Whisper. It was that crazy man who attacked us. You didn't. I did, she read. He got you because I messed up and I took him there. Whisper? You didn't know. You can't blame yourself. I certainly don't. And neither does Ruby. You were a bloody cause of me. It was just a scratch. And you were the one who stopped the bleeding, remember? Seeing that her Pokemon was still inconsolable. Sorry. Rice scooped her up in her arms and held her close. We all make mistakes, Whisper. The important thing is that we learn from them. Today you learn that if someone is grabbing you that tightly, you can't help it but bring them along when you teleport. And now we know. You don't make mistakes. Oh, Whisper. Rice sighed. She gently lifted the infant's chin with her finger, so that they were looking into each other's eyes. You may never know how many mistakes I have made in my life. May you never learn. Nearby, someone cleared his throat. Rice looked up to find Will standing a few yards away, sympathetic smile on his face. I do hope I'm not intruding, but I wanted to agree with you. Sitting down next to Rice, the elite psychic trainer smiled softly at the rods in her arms. Your big sister is absolutely right, Whisper. Anyone who claims to never make mistakes is a liar or a fool. And from what Mr. Oaks has told me, you did something incredible to make up for your mistake. I've never heard a rat snarling move as advanced as Psycho Cod, much less only at a few days old. I put out his eye. He screamed so loud. I didn't want to make anybody hurt like that. Whisper, I said. I'm glad you don't want to hurt anyone, but sometimes they won't give you a choice. That madman, I'd rather you hurt him than let him hurt you. Besides, Bill added, it all worked out in the end. You had him off in time for help to arrive, and it will be a while before he's able to try something like that again. No one's complaining about how it happened. He was complaining, and he's no one. See how that works? Despite herself whispering a little, she still felt horrible about what had happened. But thanks to her big sister and Will, things didn't look quite so bad. I thought the point of being a ninja was to hide that you are a ninja? RWBY asked, scratching behind Nox's ear as he rested in her arms. The bat was listening to the stranger's conversation with half an ear, while most of his attention was focused on Vice's reassurances to Whisper on the other side of the room. He took a mental note to make sure that little psychic was feeling better later. Historically, yes, Kuro agreed as he sipped his letter. Back when being a mist as a member of the Shinobi clan was an instant death sentence. In more modern times, though, public perception of the ninja has shifted from practitioner of dark magic, sent to assassinate your lord, to awesome. The advantages to being recognized as a practitioner of ninjutsu now greatly outweigh the disadvantages. Lean forward, wow, that's... Conspiration... That word again! Conspiration... last time I had problems with this as well. Because I really think that this should be an N, not an R. Conspiration rally. I'm not gonna try again. And give RWBY a wing. Hopefully they are not gonna use that too much. Not to mention that people who know what real ninjutsu consists of. Disguise, hiding in plain sight, sleight of hand, and so on. Tend to assume people wearing black pajamas, waving impractical weapons, and constantly talking about honor don't know what those real skills. Oh! Kuro smiled at her and her eyes lit with understanding. In fact, the clan I am descended from made quite a name for themselves actively playing up that reputation. Do you know why ninja in the modern day are associated with such easily recognizable outfits? Huh? Now that you mention it, spies having a well-known uniform does seem weird. It comes from traditional theater. For a time, it was commonplace for stagehands dressed head to toe in black to scurry around on stage in front of a black backdrop, moving props and scenery as needed. The audience could still see them, but they weren't part of the story, so they were ignored. Until one brilliant playwright needed a ninja to appear from nowhere and kill a character, then vanish again. So he had an actor play the ninja dressed as a stagehand. When the part of the faceless mass behind the actors leaped into the foreground, stabbed the hero, and then stepped back and resumed being the stagehand, the audience was shocked. And dozens of less brilliant playwrights copied the idea. Thus ninjas wear black pajamas, and everyone knows it. Oh wow, that explains a lot, but how did your family take advantage of that? Imagine you're a guard working for a tyrannical lord, and you hear shouts and the sounds of fighting from the walls. You and your comrades hurry over to help, and you see other guards in a running battle with a small group of ninja wearing the obvious black costumes. They are all over the place, scaling walls, running on the rooftops, throwing over elevator shuriken, flourishing a variety of impractical weaponry, and otherwise accomplishing very little. You and other guards... Wait. is it continuing? You and the guards scrambled to fend them off and managed to drive them into retreat with minimal casualties, only for the lost servant to scream that the master is dead. And everyone is so fixated on figuring out how the ninja got to him when none of them ever got near his quarters that no one notices the Lord's cook, who was hired months ago, calmly leaving the palace, with a vial of poison hidden away in his bed. Wait, you mean? Kuga's smile became smug grin. After the initiates survived the year of pajama duty, they were further trained until they could act as a real operative. Even our rival clans couldn't figure out how we were accomplishing missions with such ridiculous methods. Yeah, that makes sense. Say the obvious while actually hiding the real truth. It's like the magician's trick that, oh, don't forget to look at my hands, I don't have anything in my sleeves, right? I don't even have sleeves. Don't forget to look at my hands, while the helper is actually doing all the work, while and you're not even looking at that. Gah! Yanks nod. Bruno grunted in response. It wasn't the most like fun exchanges, but arm wrestling contests weren't really the place for this philosophical discourse. Torchic was doing enough talking for both of them anyway, acting as Young's one-bird cheer section. Torchic! Torchic! The meeting continued well into the evening, and both the people of Earth and those of Remnant learned much. Promises were made by both aid against the Grim and to find a way to contact RWBY's homeward. Training tips were shared, as were the best ways to get a beowulf. There was so much oohing and ahhing when Yang demonstrated her new ability to use flamethrower, and a few theories were kicked around as to how TM readers might be adapted to reduce the risk to a human user. Someone suggested getting a hold of Professor Kukui of Valhalla, as not only was a specialist in Pokemon attacks, but his wife was lead researcher in the Ultra Wormhole project. All in all, it was a productive meeting, and boded well for the future. Things were finally looking up. Why is he still here? Cinder snarled. Why haven't you gotten that information from Juniper yet? Emerald tried to calm her mortal Mrs. Temper. Ma'am, they spent almost all the time with Bronwen. They can't get close enough to start earning their trust without risking him IDing us. Too bad Cardinal didn't know anything. They just make up stuff and repeat it until they start to believe it, Mercury said. Although I did hear something when they came back from their last mission. Something about bringing some weird dog back with them. I don't care about that fake nature corgi. Cinder growled. I'm struggling to read. Struggling to rein his temper. No, not a corgi. It's apparently some weird thing, like 4 feet at the shoulder. I don't know if it's important, but they apparently took it straight to Ospin. Fine, learn what you can about it, and try to get a picture if you can do so undetected. Otherwise, your orders remain unchanged. Based on actual historical fact and ripped straight from the background from Scorpion Clan, from the RPG Legend of the Five Rings. I knew I heard that story before. Okay. So, information has been checked, has been swapped as well. Let's see, how long is the next section? It's 8.1k words. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Tomorrow we are gonna do 1 chapter, because I will need to go to work after that. But tomorrow we are gonna come back with more reading. It's almost 12 AM right now, so it's almost high noon. So I definitely will leave. I'm gonna finish off my coffee, probably lay back a little bit. I'm gonna go down, walk with my doggos. They usually go out at this point. So yeah, tomorrow at the same time at 8:30 AM at my time, I'm gonna put up the notification really after we end it right here. We are gonna continue with chapter 20, like the Fist of Angry God. You know what I want to see from this this story? Some Roman Torchwick. That is what I'm missing. I hope it's gonna happen. I want Roman Torchwick to get into this world and get a Torchwick as well. Probably not gonna happen. But yeah, I need to fix the intro section, which I have right here. I need to fix that Yang doesn't have a Pikachu and RWBY doesn't have an Amorga at all. But for now, we are gonna keep on with this one. I can't do anything about that. And I think I can hide Mr. Tyrion because he had to get back to get his punishment. Because it was a total waste of time. But I am leaving, thank you for being here, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.